Hello guys, this is Nat Blue and we are back at it with another video. So today we're going to do something a little bit different than what I've done so far. Instead of doing a tier list, we are going to go through a presentation I made for which D&D classes different Marvel characters would belong to. So this is focusing on Marvel Heroes. I might do a villain one in the future if there's interest. Please leave a comment if there is interest so that I know that that is something people would like. Uh, but we're going to jump into this. I have a presentation prepared called Marvel and D&D. So we are going to go through each of these slides and I'm going to talk about what classes I think these different characters would belong to and why. So there are a few characters that are left out of this. I did not include any of the Eternals because the Eternals feel closer to gods than player characters. And I did not include Nebula or War Machine because I feel like they are too similar to two of the other characters. Nebula would just have the same class as Gamora, and War Machine would just be fighter wearing armor, I think, like wearing artificer armor. But we're going to jump into this with Star-Lord. So I did make these slides myself. The background images are from Adobe Premiere, and then I found the images of the different people and the different logos on Google. So I think Star-Lord is a swashbuckler rogue. So this was a tough one for me because there's a couple of things I think Star-Lord could fit into. There's some people that said he should be a Fey Wanderer Ranger. Some people think he should be a thief rogue. There's some that argue fighter. I think swashbuckler works really well. He did start his movie adventures as a thief, but I think he's a little bit more suave than the normal rogue. His footwork's a little bit better. His fighting is a little bit better. I think swashbuckler just fits a little bit more thematically. And I feel like the Ravagers that he used to belong to are very close to pirates. Then we get into Rocket Raccoon. I think Rocket Raccoon is an artillerist artificer. This was also kind of tough. I considered making him a thief rogue, but I think artillerist works a little bit better. He is constantly modifying weapons. He does normally use a gun in most of his fights. I think artificer just works really well here. And then Groot, this was a very difficult one to do, probably the most difficult out of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think Groot is a land druid, but he is also a Warforged land druid. So I think Warforged works pretty well here because he is a construct of sorts. I have seen people argue that you should just make him like a Treant class or a Treant race and make him a barbarian. But I think that Druid works pretty well because there's some of his attacks that feel similar to like Grasping Vines or Thorn Whip and stuff like that. So I think Land Druid works really well here for Groot, in my opinion. Drax is a pretty easy one on this list. I think he is just a Totem of the Bear barbarian. So I was torn between this and Berserker, but I don't think he fights angry. I think Totem of the Bear works pretty well because he's a very resilient guy. He's tough. And when he's angry, it seems like he is a lot stronger, which is a Totem of the Bear trait. Your strength increases while you are raging. Gamora, I think she is a battle master fighter. So she is a very skilled fighter. She's had a lot of training. So I don't think she's a champion because of all of that training. I think the maneuvers fit her pretty well. She's probably the best hand-to-hand combatant in the Guardians, in my opinion. And then we have Mantis. This one was a little bit difficult. I've seen some people say that she should be a cleric. I think she is a College of Whispers bard. I think that her damage is mostly psychic damage. I think she probably uses things like the sleep spell and things along those lines. And then Captain America, in my opinion, is a champion fighter. I don't think he has the training of a Battle Master fighter. I think champion fighter just works really well because he's just very good at fighting. Falcon, I think, is a Beast Master Ranger, and hear me out here. I think his wings were probably made by a thought body. So an artificer friend probably made the wings. I think his Beast Companion is the drone on his back, and I think you could probably use a Falcon stat block from 5e for the drone on his back, which I think also just fits his name really well. So, in my opinion, Beastmaster Ranger. Iron Man is an armor artificer. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. He does make armor. I think he could be kind of in between armorer and artillerist because he also does make weapons for his suit. But I think armorer fits a little bit better. Thor. So I've seen some people say he should be a storm cleric. I think he is an Oath of Glory paladin. So in my opinion, the lightning attacks with his axe and his hammer or just smites. And I feel like Oath of Glory fits really well because he seems like the guy that would be trying for glory. He's also not religious enough to be a cleric. Most clerics follow a god. I think he just follows the oath like a paladin would. Then we have Hawkeye. This is one of my favorite slides because of the background. It's supposed to be like sound waves, because in the comic books, Hawkeye is deaf. In the TV show, he wears a hearing aid. So I think this is probably my favorite slide I made here. I think Hawkeye is a battle master fighter. So some people would say he should be a ranger because of how good he is with his bow. I think he's just a battle master fighter that specializes in ranged combat. Because if you see him in his show or while he was Ronin, he's also very good with other weapons and he's very good with hand-to-hand combat. So I think calling him a ranger instead of a fighter just wouldn't do him enough justice. Black Widow is a pretty easy one in my opinion. I think she's an assassin rogue. I think it just fits the character very well. She does assassinate people. That's kind of her thing, or was her thing before she joined the Avengers. And then we have the Hulk. This is the most obvious one on this entire list. The Hulk is a berserker barbarian. He gets stronger when he's angry. He gets more resilient when he's angry. It could work for the bear totem also, but I think the big thing is entering his rage turns him into this rage-fueled monster from Bruce Banner, so I think Berserker just fits the best. Scarlet Witch is a little difficult. I think she would be either an Aberrant Mind or a Shadow Sorcerer. So I think, in my opinion, Aberrant Mind fits a little bit better, but Shadow Sorcerer also fits really well. I think she should be a Sorcerer because she was born with power, but then the stone unlocked that ability. So I don't think she's a Warlock, in my opinion. But in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, I think you could argue that she multiclasses into the Great Old One Warlock because of the Darkhold. I think that the Darkhold could explain her getting a few levels of Warlock, and then it would explain some of her powers looking similar to like Eldritch Blast. Vision, I think he is a Clockwork Soul sorcerer. I think Clockwork Soul fits really well because he's an android. I considered making him a Warlock also, with the Soul Stone being his, or the Mind Stone, I don't remember, the Infinity Stone being his patron. But I think that Clockwork Soul works a little bit better, and it would still be a decent setup for his character. Then we have Black Panther. I think this one was pretty easy. I think Black Panther is a Way of the Open Hand monk. He does specialize in hand-to-hand combat, so I think it's a little bit better than like a fighter. Then we have Ant-Man. Ant-Man, to me, is a thief rogue. So I think he could be argued for other classes, but I think he's a thief rogue that got a suit from his artificer friend, Hank Pym. I don't think he is the artificer. The entire thing with Scott Lang is that he's a really good thief, and that's why he became Ant-Man, so I think thief rogue just works really well here. Doctor Strange is obviously a wizard, but I think he's a School of Abjuration wizard. I say obviously a wizard because he fits the class too well. Some people might argue sorcerer because he is called the Sorcerer Supreme, but he does have to study a lot to become a wizard. He doesn't just have that innate magic. So I think School of Abjuration works really well. Some people have argued that he could also have multi-classed into Warlock because of the Darkhold. I think it's a little bit too early to tell, so I think School of Abjuration is just the best choice right now. Captain Marvel, I have as a Way of the Sun Soul monk, so I don't see this monk talked about very often. I think she's very good with hand-to-hand combat, but she also does have ranged attacks. So I think the Way of the Sun Soul works pretty well because it has a Sunbeam attack that offers a little bit of range to a mostly melee class. Then we have Shang-Chi. So Shang-Chi is a Way of the Open Hand monk. I was torn here for a minute until I realized Shang-Chi does not have magic himself. It's more that the bracelets are magical. I think that the 10 rings are probably an artifact that he uses to help him fight, but most of the time it's just hand-to-hand combat. So I think Way of the Open Hand monk works really well. Spider-Man, this might be a little bit of a surprise, I think belongs to Way of the Drunken Master monk. So the Way of the Drunken Master does not actually involve alcohol. There is a aspect to it where you get better performance. I think that works really well for Spider-Man because he's always doing quips and everything, and because he's hiding his secret identity during the day. The Way of the Drunken Master also is a very evasive monk class, so I think that works very well for Spider-Man with how flippy he is all the time. And then Obviously, Spider-Man is great in hand-to-hand combat. The issue is I think you would have to dump stat strength a little bit, which is kind of tough for Spider-Man. You would have to dump stat strength or maybe wisdom. I think probably strength, just to make sure he's dexterous enough, because you kind of want Spider-Man to have a decent intelligence score also. For the web slingers, you could multi-class him into a couple of levels of Artificer, or you could just have him not fight with them, maybe get a grappling hook from somebody, maybe buy one from an NPC. There's a couple of options there. And then last on this list, Winter Soldier, aka Bucky Barnes, I think is a champion fighter. So he fights very similar to Steve Rogers. Steve Rogers I have as a champion fighter. I think it just makes the most sense. This one could go either way. I think Winter Soldier would make maybe more sense as an assassin rogue, but I think if you're putting them both together, champion fighter makes the most sense. So that is the end of the list. If you guys disagree with anything that I said on this list, please let me know. I'm very curious about what classes you guys would put these people into. I think this is a very fun idea. I might do this later with other characters. I probably won't do DC characters because I think a lot of them are a little bit too powerful to rank as D&D classes. I don't think they would fit very well. Marvel is a little bit more subdued with the abilities for most characters, especially the ones that have hit the main screen so far. But if you disagree with anything, let me know. If there are any characters that I might have forgotten, please comment. I might be able to at least reply to the comment, give my opinion on that. Otherwise, like I said at the beginning of the video, if there's anything like this you want me to do in the future, also leave a comment. I really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. It did take a while, but that's okay. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like the video, you can leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to be notified when videos come out. And other than that, I hope you guys are having a great day. And until next time, peace.